what do you think are some of the positive things that can happen out of this type of an experience for either the person performing or the person receiving the striptease?
For the person performing, I think what's really lovely is, I mean, and it's silly, but right. Like, so I think often our attention is so divided. Even as a performer who works regularly, like, you know, on the scene or whatever, even there, if a partner visits me, like, which has only happened like a small handful of times, their attention is still divided because it's like, I do my number and that's great. And then there's like, you know, 7 other people that are going to do theirs,
numbers
right?
that night.
And we're out and we're, you know, maybe you're having a drink, maybe you're not, maybe you're talking to someone. They're like, there are, and the rest of the time, I think like, you know, social media and various technologies keep us really like in and out of the world at the same time.
Yes.
And so I think really the most beneficial thing about striptease within the bedroom is that both people are fully focused on each other. And that
how often does that happen?
Exactly. And also that they're fully focused in a state that's pre getting down to it. I think we lose a lot of like desire in the world that we live in now. Like things are so quick and things are really
immediate gratification.
And like, I mean, like for me personally,
where's the tease?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that, like, I mean, like I miss the days of like a long-term slow flirt. Like it's always better once you get to it. For me anyway, if you've built up that kind of like that kind of sexual tension, like that's amazing. And so that's even longer than just the striptease itself. That's like a long dedicated process of being of holding off just enough.
Yes.
And knowing when then like the coming together. Then like at that point it becomes like a tidal wave, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's so few spaces, especially for women and femmes, where we get to sit in our own power before, especially like say, and this is also like, this is within the primer of something like, you know, fairly heterosexual or something like Femme and Mask or whatever. In so many of those spaces, we're giving over our bodies and our time and our power to a partner. And I think that especially when, you know, especially pre-burlesque and pre-being in more sex-positive communities, that was actually worse when I was dating or sleeping around in those kinds of like spheres. Like there was no real sense of me being able to command something. For a long time I felt once we had started kind of doing the deed. So the before for me always felt like the most powerful part. And so I think I still like, you know, carry this thing with me where I'm afraid to lose that just before, where all the potential in the world is still on the table. And so I think for me, yeah, like playing in that space or reintroducing it and remembering that it hasn't gone away and that it can only, you know, develop or strengthen with yourself, with other partners, with new people.
And I think as you're saying, kind of creating a space like creating, you are in your bedroom or your living room, whatever, with your partner, that, you know, hopefully this is a person you feel comfortable and safe and lovely around. Like, so I think there's something to be said about creating this physical space where I am going to indulge, you know, in my sensuality and my sexiness, in this connection we're having between, there's just the two of us here in this room, and we're actually creating this space for me to express myself, for you to receive it, and for us to connect. You know, that there's something very valuable there that it doesn't exist in a lot of places, you know, around. So I think that there's great value in that.
Yeah, and I think also can totally be achieved as well in casual like partnerships. Like this is not like, you know, it's not limited only to long-term partners or people you build a rapport with. Like you can find that with people, but it comes from a mutual place of both of you wanting to be there and being attentive enough to be able to be there. You know?
Yeah. What do you have any kind of tricks for people getting out of their regular non-burlesque tear-off clothing that might be helpful to people, so they're not like feeling so awkward and kind of stumbly? Even as we said, there's a lot of great things that can happen out of like humor in this situation. Are there any tips though that you can give for like taking off the bra or taking off the,
or doing stuff and like, I mean, okay, so
or their balance? Like I can see taking off pants and just like
and just like flopping over or something like that. Yeah. I mean, like I think you would apply some of the things you do in a burlesque act to you know, like to your bedroom striptease where you're like, oh, you're thinking about a lot of factors. Like maybe you should, if this is planned for sure. And even if it's not, like
Maybe you should practice.
Or it's just a good practice to be familiar with how your clothes work at all times. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
how often have I actually paid attention to the way I've taken this shirt off?
Exactly. Or like, oh, this one has really weird buttons.
Yes, I should be familiar with the buttons.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you're like, oh yeah, it's this kind of bra, or it's like this is a back zip. This tends to get caught here and there. Exactly. Yeah.
Just be aware. Yeah. What bra am I wearing? Yeah. And do I know how to get out of this bra?
And if you're in performance mode when you're doing it, you're also simultaneously, you're thinking about what you're wearing and how it works, but you're also thinking about where you're at and what you need from the space.
Yeah.
So if you're taking off your pants and you're worried about wobbling to your death, you know, which is like a thing, that maybe you ensure to get to a point in the room where you can find yourself with some kind of grounding.
Some kind of chair.
Or you're at the edge of the bed, or you've got a hand on the wall, like you put yourself in that sexy position. It's totally calculated. No one needs to know. And exactly. And you can figure it out from then. But like, you're just being, it's like one eye on the prize and one sort of like planning strategically for what might
You're
happen.
The producer. You're both the producer and the performer.
Yeah. I mean, that's why sometimes it's still a little bit work. Like, I think, you've got to be in the right place for that with the partner. There are days where you're like, I'm not going to orchestrate the striptease for you today. Yeah. It's a Tuesday. Or it's like, I just got home from a gig. Like, I need to rip off these eyelashes and go to sleep.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, it's funny. What I like to do, I teach a class at Oasis that's like a lap dance or a chair dance class, right?
God.
So my favorite cheat, I'm not great in heels. I'm not. And it has to be like a very specific heel that I can walk in, right? So if I'm in a pair that is just like so sexy and working for the outfit, but like I can't walk that well in them. I for real cannot do my usual like I have a lot of dance training. But you would not know it.
I know.
If I'm wearing like a pair of heels that I can't fucking walk in, right? So like my favorite cheat is to do a chair dance. So you essentially always can have one hand on the chair to steady yourself. You can walk around that chair. You can like drop it beside the chair, but essentially you always have the chair like as a security, as like a safety blanket, like for balance.
I think of like when you learn to skate. I don't know if you ever had this, and they sometimes will give you a literal chair to like go around on the ice. So you're holding something like for dear life.
That's me in stripper shoes for sure.
Oh no, you gotta just get the right stripper shoes. I mean, like maybe you don't. I don't know.
I have a pair that has. I have a pair that has like a thick 90s heel, like a chunky heel, which I'm great in those. But like the traditional pleasers that are like
schlunk,
that like heel, like
not good.
No, ma'am. Yeah, I have like weird. I think because I did a lot of ballet when I was young, so I've developed kind of a bit of premature arthritis, like in my big toes, like so. To flex in a certain way, I just can't
do it at all.
I just can't, unless it's like low enough or I feel sturdy enough that all my weight isn't pressing like on that big toe. Anyways, tangent. Oh God.
Good. No, I can imagine now.
Great. So we're pretty much at time.
Cool.
Are you able to tell the world any things you have coming up in the future, anything you would like to plug, or any places on the interwebs or here in Toronto that people can come and see you?
Yeah, totally. My Instagram is at Sultana Burlesque. I have a website that's launching soon. It's not out yet, but it will be out soon. And my Facebook page is the same. It's Sultana Burlesque. Where is my next appearance? I'm doing a show. The soonest one I can think of where I'm performing as a burlesque dancer is on June 24th. It's a tragically hipped tribute show. It's called Tragically Stripped. Yeah. Brilliant. I know. It'll be dumb and wonderful and great.
Who's producing that?
That's Scarlett LaFlemme, and
Lovely.
She's wonderful. She does some really, really interesting, evocative shows.
I love that.
And please come and check out Creme de la Femme we were talking about earlier. That'll be on, I believe it's June 14th. It's part of the Pride Buddy season on the Thursday of the Pride Week.
Awesome.
And beyond that, really like the Toronto Burlesque Festival will be the other time to see me. That's all the way in July though, so we got time.
Amazing.
There will probably be more, sooner dates
And those will be on your website.
You're
on Instagram. You're on
and
Facebook
and all that
stuff. Yeah. At Sultana
sure.
Burlesque.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, great. What are the things I have to say? First of all, if you want to go to bedpost.ca, that's probably the best way to keep up with all the shows that are happening. If you're here in Toronto and want to see our stage show, we do it twice a month now. Third Friday of every month at Social Capital Theatre at 8 and the last Tuesday of every month at the Super Wonder Gallery at 9. If you're watching us on YouTube, a great thing you can do for me and my business is to subscribe. Wink, love you. If you're listening to us on iTunes or another podcasting platform, to rate and review. Same thing, does a lot of good stuff for Bedpost, the business. If you want to go to Instagram, I'm the Bedpost Sex Show on Instagram. That's probably my favorite place to be as far as social media. So I post a lot of fun and sexy stuff daily. And you'll find out lots of stuff about the stage show and also here at the podcast. For all our amazing podcasting studio content, as well as all our YouTube content, it's all happening thanks to it's all happening thanks to Eggplant Media and all the folks here at the Pacific Junction. So big thanks as always goes out to them. Also, the Sonar Network is the podcasting network I'm on, so check out the other podcasts on the network, and also as always a big thanks goes out to them. Lastly, if you are listening to the audio podcast on a podcasting platform, our original music is by Steph Copeland, who can be found on her website stephcopelandmusic.com. I want to thank you again, Sultana, for coming and speaking with me today. My pleasure. Oh gosh, I love your hair's down now.
I know. Yeah, it's always up and down.
Flip.
It's like constant.
I love it.
It's like a lot. I'm just a hairy person, really.
I'm just hairy.
I am.
I got hair, girl. And I just want to thank everyone for listening and watching, and we will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Cool.